Back again. Back again, my friend, for round 6 of the Trackstars TS3 Trackstars Touring Cars. I can't even English that. We are from the very smooth high speed ring this week. It is the week of Enduros. So, I know I'm pretty happy about that. And as always, we've got Mr. N Spud joining me in the combox again. How's it going, good sir, on this fine Saturday? Not like usual, where it's usually a Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday's not looking too bad. A little bit dark clouds outside of my of the commentary box, but I could see a few dark clouds hanging around high speed ring. But what I've heard from the weather radar is that it's just going to pass by. It's actually going to break up, and we won't be seeing any rain whatsoever this weekend. So we've had two weekends in a row, DJ. We've had the rain come down and playing havoc and impact with our TS3 drivers, but fortunate enough that it has going to be passing by and there is no longer rain on the radar, so it's great news for our drivers so we can see what their raw pace is like here at high speed ring.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I know I'm pretty glad that there's no rain about, so it's definitely going to be a very interesting weekend here at lovely high speed. So we'll definitely wait and see how those teams start seeing compared to these guys. There's the money in the NSX, a bit tail happy compared to my
Well, I think you might need a bit of guidance from the M&R boys, from SS Boy and Bedstick 7, who were showing some great performances last time out in the very drenched Rebel Ring circuit, where they managed to harass the back end of Ice Renegade's Nissan GTR in race 1, but unfortunately came a little bit of his undoing, and unfortunately for him he wasn't able to capitalise on getting the victory in race 1, but he finally got his breakthrough and won on a racing circuit rather than the oval at the back of Daytona. So Bedstick is on fire, is on hot form tonight, DJ, so as we look on board, see if we can go for a lap with Bedstick 7 approaching turn 2 as we see what the entry lines are. Very interesting. So we've noticed a lot. Some drivers like to go very high on just the high bankings, but maybe for the TS3 drivers, maybe the low line would be easier for them to draw. And then coming through the right and left SR chicane coming before the tunnel here, where it's all just flat out. So the guys are going to be going for a high through right, exiting the tunnel, try and stay off the right hand side and then get as high up onto the banking as you can to get up, to get so much speed. Looks like Bedstick was using the middle of the track, which is also pretty good. But as he comes through, you're getting a very nice advantage of that slipstream, DJ, so his time's going to come through pretty quickly. We're going to see himself get himself 1 minute 4.8, but it's not the fastest. The fastest so far belongs to Renegade 575, the guys from the racing team.
Yeah, it looks like Renegade's just pipped the green then, who's for the there. It is by 0.014 as we see Renegade take that very high line. Personally, for me, it's very hard because 3.5 things faster, so I'm going for a low 3 here. Granted, he can put together for 2 or 4, but I was running a couple of laps before with Meat and Cheese. These guys are definitely interesting. Going to be I'm very curious on who may win these, but I have seen Renegade make a couple of mistakes in turn 3 spin, so it's going to really, I think it might be anyone's race. As I say that, Fly Body comes through the 103.333, so Renegade bettered himself with a 382, gap green a bit there, and as I say that, Meat and Cheese comes through the 103.1, so nearly in the 102s. It's going to be pretty interesting, especially with the tailwind.
Absolutely, and the guys are using very good advantage, especially for Meat and Cheese, taking advantage of Nightmare's slipstream there. So if we look on board, you'll definitely feel it on this section here as Nightmare just runs a little bit wide, and this is where it can get really sketchy for Meat and Cheese piloting, especially coming through here and to the right and left hand chicane. You want to try and just run it wide, then just clip the inside as Nightmare just provides to be a little bit of a roadblock for Meat and Cheese Pie, but maybe it won't hamper him as much as he's coming through the exit of the tunnel. So Nightmare will just try to get out of the way as much as she can. but obviously she might be on a hot lap as well. And I say that, they're just getting a little bit argy-bargy with the racing there. So that won't improve me. She's Pie's lap time. She takes the high line and contact mate. So, but you could definitely see, I don't know if you saw that, DJ, but when Nightmare actually took the high line and Mean Cheese was on the low line, she was actually faster than what Mean Cheese Pie could get in his car.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, I think, as well at Daytona. We have the whole issue of running through what corners run through what might be the faster line. So it's going to be very interesting to see on drivers one. That's also another pretty common line. So they take the line entry, they drop maybe half the car width, and then they get back to the gas again. Man just runs into the back there of Meat and Cheese, and he
just takes him out there. That's very unlucky for Mean Cheese Pie. Obviously, that's nothing on his doing, because he was on a purple lap as well at that time. So that's ruined his chance of improving his lap times, and it's all up to his main threat drivers, his Renegade 575 and Rick Green, who is second around fourth place. As we see Renegade come through, he doesn't improve his lap time, so he'll stay second. Fly Boarding was the one that came through, was very surprised to be up the top. But Rick Green is the closest challenger that he can get towards Mean Cheese Pie. He improves, but only to third place. So the top three in the championship, DJ, all in the top three once again in the high-speed sprint here in Japan Ring, making a return. The high-speed ring onto the Gran Turismo platform after having a bit of an absence from Gran Turismo Sports. So it's great to see the track come back, and an iconic track at this high-speed ring. As these guys are just coming through to finish their lap, we see Venti SS Gaming from the It's Racing Esports team, Nissan GTR, coming through onto the main straight. Won't improve his time, but will he get himself ahead of his teammate in 9th place? No, he doesn't. He hangs back in 10th place with Latigator in 9th place. So that's an all-fit row for the It's Racing Esports guys, Latigator and Venti SS Gaming.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate there for Meat and Cheese, because he was purple, but I don't think Venti's had much running. I did see It's Racing, the chief steward, jump in the lobby as well, so maybe he might have seen that move there that Nightmare did, because I know if that wasn't me, I would definitely be blowing up to the stewards now to pull a bit of a what Toto did to Michael Massey with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. So we never know, we may see a penalty come her way come race 2, so we'll definitely wait and see what the stewards have to say about that one. But until then, we got Meat and Cheese Pie in first, Eyesight Renegade and Rick Green carrying out the top 3. So yeah, that was a very interesting qualifying, because we've got the top 4 all separated by 0.177, and then there's a 4/10 gap back to Los Tormentos. So possibly that turn 2 line that they're running high, then low, then back high isn't a real ideal line that you want to run through there.
No, absolutely, and the high line is a preferred line, especially in any car that you drive, because it's essentially that's where you find all the speed in that car. You want to try and get the rear end of the car just to be riding just a little bit of a guardrail, just to get the car turned in onto the bridge. But we'll wait and see what our TS3 drivers can do for race 1 of round 6 of the TS3 Touring Cars Championship here at the beautiful and the returning high-speed ring for the high-speed ring sprint. Mean Cheese Pie on pole position with Renegade in second, Rick Green in third. Top 3 in the championship. As those lights are about to go out, we're going to have 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we are going to go lights out, green flag racing. So again, Mean Cheese Pie can't get his starts right, but he's starting improving his starts, but unfortunately Renegade's going to come through. We're going to make it 3 wide going into turn 1, DJ. All 3 runners in the championship, and we've got another 3 wide. So this is a 3. So 2 3 wides in a row, DJ, and who's going to come out on top in turn 2?
I have no idea, but I think I'm going to stay on board for this run, because this is going to get messy. I can feel it.
So we got Renegade that's come through. Renegade, we've seen Ice and Nightmare just take rear end of SS Boy, but it looks relatively clean as I say that. That was Flight Boarding. I think that looked like Rick Green's cover. Flight Boarding got a tap on the rear end of his car, and that's his race over and done with unless he can come through quickly. But we see Renegade take the lead, got the jump ahead of Meat and Cheese Pie. He's in first with him, with Meat and Cheese in second, Rick Green in third. So you'll see these top three boys running away from each other from the rest of the field there. So what do you think the tactic's going to be, DJ? Will they work together until they get to the last lap, or will they just go all hard out racing for 12 laps?
Granted on the experience of TS3 late the last 5 rounds, I just personally think they're just going to go off there, just flat out to the end. But that turn 2 is definitely going to catch out a lot of drivers. From what I saw, I don't think Fly Bully did get a tap. He may have just got a little bit of wall, possibly. That's just me, but that can obviously be after. But yeah, a bit interesting. It's going to be these runs. I was just say that red stick Nightmare, a bit of a run.
Nightmare's doing a really good job to be up into 6th place. We've seen some good performances from Nightmare as of late, DJ, and she's been putting on some stellar performances. Last time out, I believe it was at Red Bull Ring. She was as high up as 5th place at one point in race 2. She did really well in the wet conditions, but unfortunately I think it just came to reality, and then I think she just had a few mistakes go at her end and she just dropped to the rear. So very unlucky for her not to maintain that top 5, but sitting in 6th place is pretty good. But now you've got the drivers such as Gator on the back of SS of Mystic 7 rather. You can just see the rear end of his car just really doesn't look like it's a very nice car to drive on that banking for sure. But Gator's got the run, but it's all about trying to see who can be the latest to break there. We've got the high up, we've got the grunt of the Lexus versus the high-pitched Honda NSX there. So far it looks like the Honda's just got the edge on the straight line speed, but it's all about coming to turn 2. Will Gator make the move? No, he doesn't. Stick holds on very nicely in this, and that battle resumes on lap 3 of 12.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting battle. I'll have to flip back to that, but I think Meat and Cheese Pie was in a bit of a position there to Rick Green. As I say, Gator, it's like Memphis made a bit of a mistake here. So now he's got Gator breathing down his neck, and then he's got Venti about 2 off. So Venti's nearly in the slip range. I know those distance slips are absolutely fine. They're running a low line through here. Venti just drops there. He's actually closed that gap. He made half a tenth through that so he's in the slip now. I think he's just grab onto the back of these 2 guys and just take it for a ride. So hopefully we can see this racing go a little bit further up the grid. I know that it's racing. It's going to be pretty interesting.
SS Boy is well ahead of his teammate in 5th place. He's got the bit of an M&R sandwich between Paul Ice and Nightmare with SS Boy and Benstick in 7th. So the first of the Hondas in Benstick, in SS Boy in 5th place. And the first Lexus actually is Gator, so he's holding on. Actually, no, it's Nightmare in 6th place. Getting choosing the Lexus and doing a stellar job. But so I've been looking through the leaderboard there, DJ. We've seen a lot of flickering between the likes of Meat Cheese Pie, Rick Green, but we still haven't seen anyone make a challenge on Renegade, who's still leading the way. He's sitting second in the championship. He's actually closed the gap to Rick Green in the past round back at Red Bull Ring. So this might be his chance to try and close up that gap again, but it looks like Meat Cheese Pies has got a run. Will he think about making a move? Will he just stay behind for the last few laps, just like he tried to do on Renegade in race 1 at Red Bull Ring? Unfortunately for him, it didn't work out, but he's going to pull in, make a move. No, he's just going to stick around the high line. I think it's going to be very hard for overtakes to come to, especially with their cars, with the balance of performance and the no tuning aspect. The cars are just banging the rev lifters, and it's just very hard to think about making an overtake.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the balance of performance, you can't adjust the gearing and anything like that. But the other thing as well is you've got 3 Nissans here, so one car isn't really going to have more of a slipstream effect than another car. I was running the 2016 Nissan, and that thing in slip compared to the 08 is just absolutely phenomenal. So maybe Meat and Cheese Pie, while he was in the slip, he just won some laps, maybe took a couple of pointers, and as I say, that he's got a run on here on Renegade. So this is the first time Renegade's had a challenger so far. So
yeah,
Meat and Cheese Pie try and take this low line here and keep that high through turn 2. Or I
It's going to be really close for the Meat and Cheese Pie just to try and see if he can actually get the run. But he's cleared it and well ahead of Renegade 575 in second place. So he'll take provisional lead. Runs the low line, but you can see Renegade take the high line. He's closed that massively. So there's the difference, ladies and gentlemen, with the racing lines here at high speed ring. The low line versus the high line of Renegade second, that's in full effect. And they're actually pulling away from Rick Green from the Triple R Motorsport Our Championship leader. As I say that, he goes for a full spin. He loses the rear end of the car. The championship leader is all sorts of trouble, and he's going to get probably taken up by SS Boy. Yes, he does, and he drops back down to fifth place. This is going to help not just Renegade, but Meat and Cheese Pie close the gap to Rick Green, who's just made a big mistake, DJ. A very rare mistake that we see from Rick Green in this championship.
Yeah, he doesn't really make many mistakes there at all. And yeah, I think that's very surprising. It looks like he got a little bit wide and then he got the grass with that right rear. And once you're on the grass coming into a braking zone, it's usually got to hang on and grip for the ride. So, but yeah, it's pretty interesting there. But
as we look down the through with TC now, Latigator is actually now the lead Lexus driver. So something happened to Nightmare that we didn't get to see up on. Fly Balding's coming through from his lap 1 turn to mistake, and he's up into 8th place, looking to make a move on Ice and Nightmare. 7th place, going to run the outside line, takes a little bit of the grass, but just takes that position. Very nicely done. Will Nightmare think about making a move? No, she doesn't. So she'll stay in 8th place with Venti right behind. And Benstick, as I say that, Venti has a little bit of an off there. He actually went a little bit too strong, a little bit too happy on the loud pedal. He's just done it again there. So, Venti's race is just going from bad to worse. So very unlucky for him. But hopefully he might be able to regroup himself in race 2. But a bit of a surprise, DJ, to see Ben stick down there and with SS Boy in 4th. So very different tactics. I wonder if one driver practiced more compared to the other one.
No, from what I saw in practice, Benstick brakes a little bit early and takes that real low line into turn 2, where SS Boy takes a middle line, I believe. I'll just jump on board here with SS Boy to see where he is. But that, I think, personally is a critical difference here. Oh, no, they're both taking the low line. Yeah, that's
as he starts to drift through that corner. So luckily they only get like ×1 tyre wear, but wow, that was a full-on drift for SS Boy. And he actually just dropped the position to Rick Green. So Rick Green was down in 5th place, and SS Boy looks like he's just made a crucial mistake and just given back Rick Green a spot, and it hasn't lost too much. He's going to probably lose a few points compared to Meat and Cheese and Renegade this evening, but we'll have to wait and see as we are about to start lap 9 of 12 with Meat and Cheese Pie 1st place, Renegade 575 in 2nd. They're still working together. They're pulling away from Tormentor, but Renegade's got the run. Almost bit of contact there, DJ, but I think Meat and Cheese Pie has got the line here. He wants to try and run it high and wide. We'll see what these guys can do. As Meat and Cheese Pie takes the high line, he does, and he's done that very nicely.
Very nice.
So it's very lovely move there by Meat and Cheese Pie. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know, I've never actually experienced that in the old games. I never really used to run the high line because I never knew it was that effective. But in GT7, it proves to be one of the strongest lines that you can take around this track.
Yeah, I think because of the gradient, same thing here. Into the last corner, the gradient of the track actually helps pull the car through the corner. So rather than the low line, you can kind of hold that speed a little bit better. So it's definitely going to be very interesting for the DS2 and the main series guys. Obviously, with us having 2 lots of qualifying on Thursday and Friday, the difference in the lines that people are taking really shows in the overall lap times. But you can see here that Renegade and Meat and Cheese are doing 103s, same as Rick Green, who's actually dropped back down to 5th. So it looks like he's made another mistake.
Another mistake, and that'll bring Fly Balding. So he's come from the back of the grid. He was qualified in 4th, dropped to the back, and now hanging around 6th place. So nice. So top 5 for Balding would be a very nice complimentary drive for him, for the RoboSport racing team. Yet to get a win, but unfortunately for the likes of Rick Green and Renegade and Benstick getting the win so far here at Trackstars TS3, we could be seeing a new winner with Meat and Cheese Pie leading Renegade in 1st place, but we'll have to wait and see. how the end of the race goes. We look down, Ice and Nightmare still hanging on to the top 10. Ben Stick in 9th place, and then Venti, unfortunately, with his mistake going into the tunnel, is hanging out in the rear of the grid for our 10 drivers this afternoon. So, as we said at the beginning of the coverage, it is on a Saturday rather than a Sunday, so the attendance numbers could drop amongst our TS3 field, but it's great to see our support in the TS3 field to jump in on a Saturday and get some TS3 racing underway.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of a big weekend for all parties, I guess. Obviously, people wanting to watch along, admin as well as the races. Like it's our first enduro of the calendar. We do have 3. We have one in 2 weeks, which is our own Bathurst 1000. So we've got the in real life Bathurst 1000 next weekend. So we have no racing at all next weekend. So don't hang around the track stars unless you're going to watch some old footage, because we won't be going live next weekend because unfortunately it's Bathurst weekend, and when Bathurst weekend's on, we have no racing. So, yeah, it's going to be a big weekend.
Are you going to be heading down to the mountain?
Yes, I will be heading up to the mountain. I'll be heading up there on Wednesday, so I'll be back Monday. But it's I think, going to be a very good time as we cross the line here for the last lap of the race 1 at round 6 at High Speed Ring. Meat and Cheese has gapped out Renegade by about 0.7 here, so he's doing a pretty good job considering his latest runnings. He's kind of been pressuring himself a little bit too much and making a couple of mistakes. So maybe running, possibly, I don't know if he runs with you guys in the midweek. And I think he followed me for a couple of laps in the pre-race. It's definitely possibly gave him a bit of confidence there. But he looks to be on track for his first win.
Absolutely, and Renegade's really trying to push his Nissan GTR. It's getting really close to each other, so it's not the end until it's the end. Obviously, the powerful slipstream is very effective with these Nissan GTRs. As we see Renegade go for a personal best lap, but will be able to close up onto the last banking? I don't think so. And I think we can say, DJ, after 6 rounds, after 10 races, we finally see another victor in the victory lane, and finally a breakthrough victory for Meat and Cheese Pie for the Steel City Mash Buds Racing, taking the line honours here at High Speed Ring. So beautiful. He'll be so thrilled with that. I know him, definitely been working with him during the week and talking with him. And finally, we're able to see a victory from Meat and Cheese Pie. Renegade takes that second. Oz Tormentor takes out a 3rd place. So well done to Tormentor. SS Boy is ahead of Rick Green in 5th place, and Flyboarding, a great recovery drive for Flyboarding to be 6th. Later Gator 7th. Nightmare, Bent Stick, and Venti SS Gaming rounding up the top 10. But man, I think we can finally say, DJ, Meat and Cheese Pie, he needed a victory. He deserves a victory, and he's finally got it.
Yeah, he's definitely deserved that victory. He's done well for that one. So it's a big congratulations there to Meat and Cheese Pie taking out the pole position and also the race win. So big ups to him. But I've also had some late news come through from the stewards that due to the impeding that Nightmare did to Meat and Cheese Pie in qualifying, they are handing her a rear grid penalty for the next race. So unfortunately, she will be excluded from qualifying too.
So big news for the ISA driver and Nightmare. Unfortunately, we did see that in the live coverage for that Nightmare. Unfortunately, impeded Meat and Cheese Pie to further improve his pole position. But in the end, he didn't really need it. He got pole position. And finally, as the team manager, I can finally say I've got a winner in the Trackstars TS3 field. So big congratulations to Meat and Cheese Pie taking his first victory, one of many, DJ. And this is going to be a real game changer for him. He finished 1st. Rick Green finished in 5th. So this will definitely help him out in the championship.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be.
And we're going to. Oh, sorry, I did get a bit of a post-race debrief from Rick Green. He said, unfortunately, his TV monitor was actually turned off twice throughout the whole race. So a bit of some technicalities in the Triple R Motorsport garage and in his cockpits. Unfortunately, maybe, I don't know, what would you say? Like, how would you describe that in real racing? You'd think he may have just passed out twice and then I'm facing the wrong direction.
I think really in real specs it would be more or less that what would be possibly like a micro sleep. And yeah, it's possibly that's more or less what happened. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate there with the monitor turning off. So, but you know, I guess it kind of is what it is. But you know, you keep going, and he did a bit of a solid job there to get that 6th place there.
Absolutely. So still salvaging a top 5 for Rick Green. Could have been a podium, but unfortunately, due to technicalities on his end, it was only 5th place. So loses points to Ice Renegade and Meat and Cheese Pie. But as we get ourselves ready for race 2, we'll take a break. As we get ourselves ready for race 2, as we set the grid and qualifying for the high speed sprint. So stay tuned. We'll be back with you guys very shortly.
Alright, we are back for nearly about to go starting on the start of Q2 here, but luckily Mr. Spud goes go down there and have a bit of a hot lap. So I'm currently in the car, and I believe that he's going to take the reins.
Absolutely. So, what are you in, DJ? What are you in? Nissan, Lexus, Honda? He's in the Honda, blue Honda.
In the blue Honda.
and the fluoro Honda. So what I want to see actually is when you go down towards turn 2, I want you to look towards your left, onto the left-hand side of the bridge there. So what you're actually gonna see there, DJ, is that the track is actually based around water dam. So basically, on that left-hand side of the bridge is actually a dam, and as it just flows down towards the river and into the ocean around Japan. So it's pretty cool just to see again. And obviously, it's been well known to have this track layout since the Gran Turismo game itself came out back in the late 90s, and it's been a very stable feature on the game until it stopped making an appearance in GT3, and then before it came out, we didn't see it on GT Sport as well. But it was a good return to have it in GT7, and I'm sure all the hardcore GT Gran Turismo fans are loving this section. But Australia accelerating down this main straight here, you want to try and see what line you could take to get into turn 2. There's a lot of banking here, especially into turn 2. There's really high banking. You want to be riding, don't want to ride too much of the wall, but you've actually taken that perfectly, DJ. Is that your best line that you've ever taken in a car?
Yep.
That was perfect.
That was like a very skim part off the wall, so that was very scary.
Very nice. And then turns 3 and turns 4 is the wide. It's pretty much a wide S bend, so you want to try and take a bit of a wider line going into that first section, and then through to the last section before the tunnel. Just want to clip the apex, so you get a nice straight line here, and then it's all basically flat out through here. Use the banking as much as you can, and like that, DJ, we've only got six corners of this track, and you've managed to do that in a 1 minute 2. So well done to you, friend. So great, good lap time. I mean, that could get you pole position, but we'll have to wait and see if Meat and Cheese Pie can beat that. I think maybe the drivers have got some inspiration from your lap now.
Yeah, we'll wait and see on what they can do. So we'll go green flag here for pit exit open 5-minute quali. So we'll let me start the timer. I'll jump out of the car and head back up to the com box. So it's going to be a bit interesting. Oh, Benstick made a bit of a jump there, but it's alright. Green flag was open, so he zoomed out of the pits and thought, I'm gonna take my run and see there. So don't worry about my time that's on the screen. That won't be valid. So we'll keep an eye on all the other cars there. So we'll would you have taken notice of what line I ran around there? But Benstick's still running that low line. So maybe that might be a bit. I reckon if Benstick ran that high line through 2 and through 5 or 6, I think he might have gone a bit further up the grid. I definitely think that's really impeding him there through turn 2. So it's a bit unfortunate, but nice. Mare out here, good. She's staying in the pit, so very well done to her.
Yeah, so I definitely think that high line is the preferred line amongst the drivers. No matter what current field you're talking to, whether it's main series, pro drivers, GT World Tour drivers, or TS2, or anywhere in any league, they'll always say the high line is the preferred line around this track. I think I remember when I was trying to, actually when the game came out, you had to do one of the licenses around this track in a Lamborghini Aventador, and you had to make sure you had to try and get that car to go a full lap of this circuit. And man, I can tell you that was a really hard time. It's kind of like driving this Honda NSX, essentially very tail happy, very not stable on the brakes, and yeah, it's very tricky. But we look on to Benstick, see what he does here. He's taking that low line again, so maybe I wonder what he's trying to do is, I think if he's running that low line, he's trying to get that straighter exit towards the wall on the right hand side. But again, I just don't think that is the preferred line that you want to take. You may find some pace, but you're not going to find pace when people take the high line. But coming through the tunnel, we see flyboarding right behind him, so flyboarding's not close enough for him, not close enough to get a tow from Benstick 7, but anything could change, anything can happen with the last 4 minutes of qualifying to go.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see on where some of the drivers line up coming out of Q2. So it's good to see some of these drivers start to get a bit faster. I know that obviously the TS3 really we kind of aim it around people learning and stuff like that, so they've set some pretty decent laps here at the moment. So we've got Rick Green with a 103.5, Renegade with a 103.7. Oh, as I say that, Meat and Cheese goes faster with a 102.9, so it's 0.7 off me, so he's doing pretty well to be that close on his first lap too.
very nicely done by the first driver in the 1 minute twos. So Rick Green, just goes, you could see that car just understeering towards the wall, and that's the fear that I have for Ben Stick 7 if he's doing things like that, but he's just going to understeer in the wall, and that's just going to hurt his lines. But Torment's doing very nicely, still in 4th place, flyboarding in 5th, and the fastest Honda SS boy, still again the faster driver compared to his teammate, and Ben Stick's hanging around towards the rear of the field, where Ice the Nightmare will be starting from the rear of the grid due to her impeding Meat and Cheese on his flying lap in qualifying 1. But as we get ourselves around the track, this could potentially be Ben Stick's final lap. We'll have to wait and see as Venti improves his lap time, so he's finding some pace in his car, but not enough to move up into the top 5. And we'll just wait and see what the guys ahead. We see Tormentor actually go up into 2nd place now, so he's actually found some pace. So he's actually ahead of Rick Green and Renegade. So this is giving him some good confidence for the WRT driver, the sole WRT driver DJ in the TS3 field.
Yeah, and he's running that low line as well, so I'm very surprised he did get that 103.3. But as we say that, Meat and Cheese ended up getting a 102.8 there, so he's finding some pace there in that Nissan. So maybe he's feeling, yep, this is my track, I can definitely take it to these boys. So it's going to be very interesting as we just gone 50 seconds to go. So majority of these drivers should get another lap in. So it's going to be a full send to the end. And the other thing is they are all on medium tyres. Due to it being a enduro weekend, all cars will be on medium. So no sets of softs to use, no pit stops, no refueling. So they'll just send it to the end and just see how it goes. Oh, Venti here with a 103.7. He's jumped up there into 5th place, all the way down from 10th and 11th. So he's doing a pretty solid job there.
Very nice job there by Venti in 5th place. So yeah, like you said, very solid performance here, just for his 2nd run this evening at the high speed rings. Obviously didn't get too many laps in before the lobby opened, but is now learning from his mistakes from that race 1 and putting himself into 5th place. So we see Rick Green go personal best, but not fast enough to topple Meat and Cheese Pie. So we'll have to wait and see what his pace is like towards the tunnel. Maybe you might have a better run through this tunnel section after the S-bends, but we'll wait and see how he goes as we look through his delta time. Does he improve? Does he go fastest? No, he doesn't. He improves his lap time, but it's not going to be fast enough. So I don't think that's actually going to promote him any further forwards than 4th place looking at that delta.
It's very, very tight. He was up by 0.048 and he's currently down by 0.035, so he may jump to 3rd. He does, very, very slightly. As I say that, Tormentor was in his slip. He was in his slip for all that race, all that train there. So he took that 3rd place from him, from Rick Green. So very, very smart, strategic move there from Tormentor to be in his slip there. So that's very, very, very smart from Tormentor.
Yeah, 100%, and that was a really good lap time there by Tormentor. So we didn't see any improvements from any drivers. We didn't see Meat and Cheese Pie. Actually, did he improve his lap time? I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to wait. I believe I saw Renegade get himself into the 1 minute twos on his lap. So he was actually very close. He'd been a lot closer to Meat and Cheese Pie that time.
He did. He went faster with a 102.807. So that's a very fast. That was a very fast time there from Meat and Cheese. I think he might be getting a bit more confidence in this TS3 car.
Yeah,
himself.
absolutely.
But in saying that, he's got Renegade breathing down his neck.
Yeah, so these two are the form drivers of this evening. Meat and Cheese Pie, unfortunately, has had a bit of a rough start. DJ, as we well know, in the TS3 Championship, we know that he's a fast driver. He knows that he can take it to the guys like Renegade and Rick Green and battle for victories and comfortable victories, mind you. But unfortunately, just a little bit of I guess you could say the kind of the hot-headedness that he's got in his mindset when it comes to racing is just hampered him from getting victories and even potentially leading the championship, because we know that he's a very good threat of taking this championship at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting end to the season, because I do believe we've only got about 6 or so-ish rounds left, so it's going to be a very interesting second half, considering on how how this first half has gone. But the other thing is as well, they're a lot cleaner this weekend, which is very nice to see. They're starting to learn on how to race with each other and all that kind of stuff. So it's very good to see them slowly starting to improve.
Absolutely. Well, you can kind of say it's a bit of an oval. There are a couple of right-hand turns around this track. So, I mean, if Papa's watching, he'll be happy to. I'm surprised why he's not racing this weekend because the car's you're actually turning right around this track.
It's a semi-oval, so he won't because he's not a fan of ovals at all. But yeah, you know, that's Papa. But we do know Papa's out there somewhere, probably playing NBA or doing something like that, or turning right. So he's we'll wait and see. Either that, or he's walking home from the train station. So what in the world has happened to you? GT7 strikes again.
Oh yeah, I was about to say like something happened there. I thought we saw a probable DC from Meat and Cheese Pie, but we are underway. Meat and Cheese Pie actually got a much cleaner start there. I think that's probably one of his better starts this season. And we're not seeing a lot of cars going through it. As I do say that, we see a car go through the middle. Who is that going to be? Oh, it's getting a bit of argy-bargy there. That's demoted Meat and Cheese Pie down to 4th place there. And Tormentor's got himself a really good run. And we see the two drivers. There you go, Meat Cheese Pie and Torment, and Renegade and Meat Cheese Pie taking that high line and reclaiming their 1st and 2nd place. So we'll watch these two pull away, and Torment is hanging on to 3rd place. Venti making the moves on Rick Green, and Venti's promoted himself up into 4th place. So beautiful job there. And Rick Green is just going to try and take that inside line. Will Venti hold around the outside? SS Boy's right, breathing through his neck. And he's done the high line, and he's actually gone the outside line and taken Rick Green. And he's taken 4th place. A beautiful move there by Venti. That's probably one of his best overtakes he's done again. And flyboarding again. So this is the 2nd time that flyboarding has been involved in a lap 1 incident here at High Speed Ring. And that's not what he wants. He wants it. He knows he's got the pace for a top 5. But he's unfortunately been down the field there. As we look back towards the front, Meat Cheese Pie and Renegade battling for 1st. They're pulling away from Tormentor, but Tormentor's going to gain back a little bit of what these guys are going to lose as they are going side by side. Renegade on the inside, Meat Cheese Pie on the outside. A clear advantage goes to Renegade if he's got himself a car's width ahead of Meat Cheese Pie. Renegade takes a really high line there and got a really nice exit off turn 2 going to turn 3 as they look down through the field there. Venti, we give him such good praise, DJ, and look what he does.
I think his pedals and wheel might be playing up. I know that he happened last round at Red Bull or Spa, I think it was, and yeah, he's kind of impeded his teammate there, so it's not ideal. But yeah, I think by the looks of it, something may have happened here with his pedals or wheels. So a bit unfortunate, but yeah, after that good start he had, it's definitely not ideal to see him dropping down the field like that. But I guess that's racing, and that's how it is. But you know what, myself, yourself, Woodsy can't relate because we are all on controllers. Control the master race, my friend. Control the master race, I tell you.
Absolutely, and even Tormentor as well. You look at the guy in 3rd place and SS Boy, they're both on controllers as well, so they're doing really nice jobs in the top 5 for Tormentor and SS Boy, with Rick Green still holding on to 4th place, but he's getting a little bit close. He's dropping himself back closer to SS Boy, so obviously we can say that, you know, you could be happy with the top 5 for an event, that's for sure, but I'm not so sure if Rick Green's happy with the top 5, because as a championship leader, you definitely want to be up where ISO, Renegade, and Meat and Cheese Pie are.
Yeah, certainly. I know, you know yourself from history, you don't want to be really probably about 5 or 6 because you're not going to win a championship down there in P5 or P6. So I do know Russell Ingall did it. He didn't win a race all year and he ended up winning a championship. But it is possible, but it's very rare. So I guess you just kind of need to rely on where everyone else is. But if you're Rick Green, you don't want to be seeing Meat and Cheese or Renegade up the front, considering that they're the 2 cars that are breathing down your neck.
So there we go. So now it's the role reversal. So Meat and Cheese Pie takes that inside line and will pull back into the racing line and takes the lead of race 2 of the high speed sprint here in Japan for round 6 of the TS3 Touring Cars Championship. Meat and Cheese Pie leads Renegade in 2nd place. Tormentors hunting down, not closing up a little bit, but he will know that one mistake from one of those drivers, he'll take P2 for all of his money there. So he's done a really good job to be up into the top 4, actually the top 3 for Tormentor, and actually pipped Rick Green for that 3rd place. So yeah, you can definitely see the flash of the lights there, DJ. You can see he's definitely on a controller.
Either that or he's got his flashlight button mapped to something else. But yeah, it's good to see that we've got some controller players, some wheel players, and even then we may have some motion players, because I know that Gabans in main series was racing on motion last year. I don't know how he does it, but mate, hats off to you. So
Absolutely.
I don't
And
know if...
Broccolilli used to, when he was down in TS2 and in the F2, he was also running the motion sensor as well. So he was right. So he was, yeah. It's a very unique skill. It's a very different skill of driving, like you could say.
Yeah, I've never tried it myself, and I don't know if I really want to. Ooh, later Gator he's going on an inside move here on boarding, so see if you can keep it stick. No, you can't, unfortunately.
No.
So you can really see that that high line, low line difference going for that overtake.
Yeah.
So that's 8/10.
And this race is actually a really good indication of what's to come. So we've got the TS2 coming up in an hour and a quarter's time, an hour and 15 minutes time, as we see Ice and Nightmare just run a little bit too wide and she drops herself down. Oh, it's contact made between the Lexus drivers, between Later Gator and Ice and Nightmare. I think Ice and Nightmare was trying to get out of the way of Gator, but unfortunately the overlap that Gator had just gave the contact between the two drivers, and that's demoted him all the way down to 10th and last place. So no, he won't be happy with that. But I was going to say that this is the first race. See, all drivers from all categories will be looking at this race thinking, you know, we don't think the high line, we don't think the low line in any of the corners is going to be effective at all.
Yeah, I know myself, even just random practice, that low line, you lose a lot of time through there. Obviously, probably yourself, because I know when we did initially start practicing, both me and you were both running the same line, and we have changed since then. So flyboarding's definitely taken it to bent stick here, the Nissan versus the Honda. So a bit interesting, and it's good to see some battles going on. They can drive door to door without hitting each other off. So as I say that,
I think that was a little bit more on flyboarding's, and he just caught the snapping end of his car, and that he just just goes from bad to worse. So very unfortunate. Oh, so close between contact and with Nightmare and Venti. So that was a little bit of a concerning flick turn that for flyboarding, but he's just gone from bad to worse for the Robo Sport racing driver. Feel bad for him. We know he's got some pace. We know he knows he can get himself into the top 5. He just needs to find that little bit extra to try and challenge the guys like Meat and Cheese, Renegade, and how even Tormentor. I believe Tormentor's actually stepped up his game a lot. And look at that, he's actually closing up towards Renegade. So the gap between Renegade and Meat and Cheese Pie is extending, but Tormentor is closing.
yeah, I think maybe the promotion of WRT into main series may be a moving ground for Tormentor, whether or not he wants to be a reserve driver for main series. But yeah, he's definitely good. As I say, that he goes purple, so he's currently on track for a 102, which will be his fastest lap. So he's closing in what would be very quickly to Renegade. He's actually closer to Renegade than what Renegade is closer to Meat and Cheese. So I'll definitely be interested to see what Tormentor can do come the end of the race, probably around lap 9, lap 10. So. Oh, he did lose a bit of time there because Renegade went faster. So these guys on the front are definitely on the pace.
Absolutely, they're really pushing each other, and unfortunately for Rick Green, he's nowhere near them. So not the round that Rick Green wants to remember, especially he doesn't want to be making a return visit to High Speed Ring, sitting down in 4th place. But anything can happen as we see DJ in the TS3 field. We think Meat and Cheese Pie is going to race, especially for victory, but unfortunately we usually see him sometimes facing the other direction. But so far, lap 8 of 12, he's pointing in the right direction and in 1st place with Renegade in 2nd and Balls Tormentor in 3rd. So the gap between those guys must be really close now. So what is it, less than a second or about just over 1 second, as they've actually closed up to Meat and Cheese Pie. So Meat and Cheese Pie hasn't had a best lap 8 of 12, and these guys are really closing in each other about, what is it, 1.3 amongst the top 3.
Yeah, it's 1.4 from Meat and Cheese to Tormentor and 0.8 to Renegade. So, it was a long flight to here from Australia. So it's it's going to be pretty interesting to see because Tormentor's just out of that slip range. You know, it's roughly about 0.7, 0.75. So he's just out, but it's not out yet because there is 3.5 laps to go here. But Renegade closes that gap massively there to Meat and Cheese, and he's on track for a 102.7 here. So wait and see what this, because he's going to definitely spice it up. But in the midst of all that happening, Tormentor runs really wide through 3. But yeah, I think possibly something may have happened here between Venti and Nightmare, because they were racing and I noticed that Venti's name just jumped off the back. So maybe he had a bit of a mistake or spin or come together with Nightmare. That'd be one for the stewards to look at. But I know It's Racing probably doesn't like seeing both his cars down the back end of the field here, but you know, it's drivers have their weak track, and maybe this is the weak track for the It's Racing boys.
Definitely not wrong there. So we're about to have lap 9-12 as we see Nightmare got a little bit edgy there, and her race has just gone from bad to worse, not being able to qualify for race 2, and now just having a bit of a mistake there. High up at 6th place, dropped down to 7th, and then just with that late spin, unfortunately for her, hasn't worked out at all. But we're on lap 10 of 12. We want to keep our eyes on the front pack here. So Renegade is closing. He's trying to he wants to make a move. On being choosed by runs a little bit too wide there. But I guess in a way it's not too bad. I don't think you would lose too much momentum if you put the car too deep, because the S-bends do come up at you pretty quickly. So if you do run wide, you can save it when it comes to that second section and going into the tunnel. You won't have the best exit on the exit of the S-bend, but it's really helping Meat and Cheese Pie extend his gap just a little bit. So he's got a little bit more of an edge through that S-bend compared to Renegade, where Renegade, I feel like he's stronger at turn 2.
I guess you could. It's a bit hard, because I do see that Meat and Cheese is a little bit more confident through 3 and 4, but through 5 and 6 they're both about the same. 1 as well. I think Meat and Cheese drops a little bit too low compared to what Renegade does.
Yeah, you can see that. You can see what Renegade's doing right now. He's just closed that up, and it's in the same spot yet again. So Renegade, I was trying to think of a move, and he nearly went for a late dive bomb move there on Meat and Cheese, but he's got the line that he wants. Meat and Cheese just runs a little bit too wide. Renegade just follows him. The dirty air just kicking in for Renegade. He's only got himself 1 more lap to go, DJ, so we don't want to put any pressure on these guys, but who's going to take it? It's going to be Meat and Cheese for a double victory, his first double victory in TS3, or will be Renegade to continue his charge of getting that top spot in the TS3 Championship. But we are 1 lap to go here for the high-speed ring, the last race of the TS3 touring cars. Renegade is closing, and that gap is closing between the top 2 drivers. Renegade is right in that slipstream in behind Meat and Cheese Pie. And we want to see how those guys execute turn 2. Who's going to come out on top? Who's got the faster line when it comes through turn 2? Renegade's really closing in. Well, how does Meat and Cheese Pie go here compared to Renegade? Renegade runs a really high line, and he's closed that. And Meat and Cheese has to go defensive. He's gone on the defensive there. Renegade goes purple on his lap. It's going to be the late of the brake markers. Who's going to brake late as we go towards the S-bend? Renegade's going to go around the outside. He's done it. But will Meat and Cheese Pie come through? Will he be able to get that outside line? Renegade closes the door on him, and he's shut the door. And contact is a little bit made there. I think Meat and Cheese Pie got a little bit too happy on the throttle there, and that is the end of his race. Unfortunate. So a bit of a anticlimax there for Meat and Cheese Pie. What could have been another victory, but unfortunately, patience has prevailed for Renegade 5-2-5. Takes a victory and will take out the round victory here at high speed ring. So well done to Renegade. A beautiful move there on Meat and Cheese Pie. Unfortunately for Meat and Cheese, couldn't hold it around the outside going into the tunnel there, TJ.
Yeah, he couldn't hold it on the outside, but to me, I don't think he really got given enough room. Personally, like, he did get squeezed out, so I may have pushed it up into the wall there, so that's a bit of a heebie-jeebie 50-50 one there. But yeah, it was a nice outside move there through 3 for Renegade. But if you make an outside move, you know, you got to give room to the other drivers that are trying to do it on the next corner. But yeah, it's a pretty solid race apart from that final lap. But you know, Renegade gets the win for now. We'll definitely wait and see what happens post race. So big.
Absolutely, and I could definitely hear it in the MSR combox, in the MSR voice chat. Unfortunately, he is screaming. He is complaining to his pit engineers that he got pushed into that wall there, so he felt like it didn't give him enough. And unfortunately, he did not get much space on the exit of that. But we'll wait and see if there is a review pending from the stewards. But for now, Renegade will take the victory for race 2 of the TS3 touring cars. So well done to him, being very patient, got a second, got a first. This is definitely going to help his charge hit for the championship towards Rick Green.
Yeah, it was a nice drive there by all drivers. It was a lot cleaner than what it was for the last 5 rounds. So make our life easier. But until then, we will come back live again in just over an hour's time, or possibly on roughly about the hour for the TS2 Championship. But I don't know, man. It's looking pretty sunny outside. I might need to go outside and have a bit of a sunbake.
Absolutely, we did see a few dark clouds rolling in, but as Japan is well known to be very prone when it comes to a lot of rains especially with this tropical season. Actually, we're right now in October in that tropical season in Japan. So, but fortunate enough for us, we've got crystal blue skies. That rain has passed, and we're going to be seeing ourselves some dry running for the TS2 coming up in just over an hour's time. But that is it for TS3, DJ. We've got our round. We've got our winners in Meat Chips Pie finally taking his victory there. But unfortunately, just got a little bit hard done by Renegade. But we'll wait and see on the verdict of that. But for now, we will leave our TS3 guys to be at peace and enjoy their weekend. But for now, we're going to sign off and get ready for TS2.